Good evening, everyone. Can I try that one more time? Good evening.
Good evening.
Thank you. All right. Thank you all for coming to tonight's executive forum. My name is Brendan Cook, and I'm on the Judicial Committee for Election Oversight. The moderator for tonight's debate is Dean Melissa Harwood-Rowan. She is the Dean of Students and received her Bachelor of Arts in English here at the university in 1980. Dean Harwood, after many accomplishments, she returned to the university in 1989 for the newly created position of Academic Counselor for Women Athletics, which she received in 2002. In 2008, she was named Associate Athletic Director for the Razorback Athletic Center for Student Achievement and Support. Then in 2011, she was named the Senior Associate Dean for the students in the Division of Student Affairs. Thank you for agreeing to moderate tonight's debate.
Here's the format for tonight's debate, and we have modified this somewhat. Each ticket will get a 1-minute opening statement, and then we will entertain 15 minutes of questions for the audience. So there'll be 16 minutes, 16 minutes, 16 minutes, 16 minutes. Everyone clear on that? Okay. Then round 2 will be each group will get to field one last question. Okay? Is everybody on the stage clear with that? Okay. So let's start with ticket A.
Great. Hey everybody, my name is Connor Block. This is my ticket. Maggie Benton, Shelby Cormack, and Jace Raper. I said it before and I'll say it again. I think I speak for all of us whenever I say that we're running for this position because the University of Arkansas should be like home for every student, but it doesn't. Again, that's exactly why I'm running for student body president. Just to give you a little background about my entire ticket. Didn't know if this was always something I wanted to do personally. It was always something I was interested in, but didn't know if I was qualified for it until, I guess, progressing through my years at the University of Arkansas. So last year I got to meet with Shelby Cormack, and we discussed how maybe this is something we'd be interested in doing, but we didn't know who we were going to run with, and that was so dependent on whether or not we wanted to do it. So Shelby suggested to me, let's take a step back, look at the entire University of Arkansas, and say who's the most qualified people to lead this entire campus. At the same time, we said Maggie Benton and Jace Raper. Somehow we got them to say yes, and here we are today. Thank you, and enjoy the debate.
First question from the audience for ticket A. Y'all need to ask questions that are going to come from me. Okay, I can do it. Ticket A. How would you improve the diversity of ASG?
I'll go ahead and start off. So, as you all know, we talked about this a little bit last night, but at the University of Missouri, there were some incidents that happened last year that caused ASG to kind of take a step back, look at the entire campus and say, how can we re-examine our processes and make sure we're diverse? ASG, as a whole right now, is a very white organization. They're a very Greek organization. Everybody recognizes that. But our tickets kind of talked a lot. We've kind of taken a step back and said, how do you define diversity? Do you define it by how many people are wearing Walker Brothers ties who are running for president, or do you define it by the way people look? Do you define it by their race? You can look at it a lot of different ways, but at the end of the day, nobody can define the Razorback experience and what it really is. But I think our ticket agrees that everybody in some way, shape, or form can agree on the fact that we are students. We're excited for this next year. We're excited to go out, reach more students, connect with RSOs, change the way the cabinet is completely positioned to reach more students. At the end of the day, ASG's got to be more proactive, not reactive. Go out and I guess just look more towards being diverse.
I'll touch up on that. So I'm running for secretary, and I'm also a marketing major. And one of the things we talked about is called the AIDA model. It just talks about how businesses and especially like politicians promote themselves and get people involved. And I think the biggest way to create diversity in ASG, the first letter in AIDA talks about awareness. And my job as secretary is to make the entire campus aware of what ASG is really, and that comes from outside of social media. That comes from us building personal relationships with people around campus and RSOs. And my personal goal as a secretary, I think our initiatives are very important. But if there's a single student on this campus that doesn't know what ASG is and what we do, then I consider my job as secretary a failure.
Thank you, ticket A. Ticket B, your 1 minute opening statement.
First of all, I want to thank all of you for spending your Thursday night with us to listen to what we're all passionate about. My name is Katie Hicks, and I'm running for Vice President of ASG alongside Alex Flemister, Savannah Stradlin, and Collins Knight. We have many ideas about how to put this flagship first, and I'm eager to share them with you tonight, as are everyone on my ticket. We feel that after tonight, you'll see that we're highly qualified to carry out the job of putting the flagship first. So thank you for all being with us.
Questions from the audience for ticket B? Hearing none. Ticket B, will you please address the issue of college debt and affordability?
It's a huge problem for students. When you think about it, some people are fortunate to have parents to pay for their college. Some people aren't, and you got to think about it. Students who take out loans are going to be in debt for years after they graduate, and we need to work with legislators across the state of Arkansas and across the country to lobby for student loans to be reduced with the rates. We also need to work with legislators. It's very important. It's a huge concern across campus and across the country, and we really need to start working on tackling those initiatives. I think the Razorback Action Group has done a great job starting that conversation here on campus, and we need to continue those actions and move forward.
A lot of our platforms, a big part of it that we're excited about is the new Hogs Abroad Scholarship. So that's for a study abroad scholarship. It would change the Office of Study Abroad's yearly funds of $35,000 to $126,000. So it's send about 90 more students abroad each year. So it's one thing to figure out how to pay for college once you're here, and then it's another thing to be able to have funding to go abroad and further your education. It'll make you more prepared for the real world. It'll make you appreciate diversity. It'll really deepen your education. So we're excited about that. It'll help you to get out of debt, stay out of debt if you want to take opportunities such as study abroad. Thank you.
Another question for ticket B, and you can decide who in your group would like to answer this question. What in your college experience has prepared you for this role?
I've served on many leadership teams on campus here at the university. I'm a very proud member of Sigma Alpha Epsilon fraternity. I was fortunate to serve as a member educator. I was fortunate to serve as their vice president, and now I currently serve as their president. I am been in ASG for 3 years, 2 years as a senator. My freshman year, I was on the Freshman Leadership Forum. I've served on the Town and Gown Advisory Committee. I'm one of 2 students who do that. A big issue that came up this year, this past couple months, were raising student fees. And the issue was that we're not going to let that happen. We're not going to sacrifice the safety of the students, but we're not going to let student fees increase to put students in debt even more than what they are. So that's why I'm qualified to be president here at the University of Arkansas.
Ticket B, in your remaining minutes, could someone address the question, what is the greatest issue facing the student body at the University of Arkansas?
I think the biggest issue facing the student body is just inclusion. It really starts from the time you get here as a freshman. When you get here, you don't know what any RSOs are about. You don't know really even what classes to take, how to reach out to administrators. You don't know how to make friends. There's a lot of issues. Freshman year is really overwhelming. So I think it's important to reach students from the very beginning, show them what everything is about, figure out their interests, figure out what they would be good at and how they can give back to the university. And I think that they'll see that the university will give back to them. So they'll get more out of their time here at the U of A instead of just education. Thank you.
Any questions from the audience on ticket B?
Yeah, question for the president. So you mentioned your your involvement in Sigma Alpha Epsilon fraternity. What does that look like going forward? If you were to take a role as president of the university, how does your time spent there in the fraternity, as well as your time spent doing your platform initiatives for the university, how do you spend your time well and wisely doing that?
That's a good question. Thank you for asking. The university policy is you cannot reside president of two organizations. So I would have to step down as president of SA, and I've spoken with my guys about that, and they're in full support of me running for president of the University of Arkansas. I believe my whole life I've always wanted to give back to people, and that's why I run. I don't want to be president just to put it on my resume. I'm basically kind of forced into doing some of those things for SAE and for other initiatives that I've been a part of. But I would step down as president of SAE and then focus on serving the students a greater vision for the campus.
One more question. Would you support fee increases to fund increased graduate student stipends?
Could you say the question one more time?
Certainly. Would your ticket and administration support student fee increases to increase the stipends of graduate students?
I think that I speak for our ticket as a whole, that we aren't looking to increase student fees because I know that everyone already feels as if they pay enough. The stipends are important, but they're also competitive, and I think that being competitive, not only does that make it so we don't have to increase fees because we already have a certain amount of money to be given, but making it competitive makes sure that our graduate assistants are the best ones that we can find. So I think people work harder to be grad assistants because they know that those spots are limited, so there's not really a need to increase fees.
In the remaining time, any further questions for ticket B? Red flag, Jeff, yeah.
Hi, yes. The average fund for running for elections like you guys are now is around $10,000. The average graduate student stipend is $13,000. Given that you feel comfortable spending that much money running for an executive position in the ASG, why should we be paying people teaching us why we go to university for?
Well, Brian, thank you for asking that question. I mean, it's important that we pay our teachers fair amounts. I mean, $13,000 a semester to teach our students, which is, I mean, if you put a freshman college student in a class with a GA, or if you're going to put them in there with a professor, it's going to be, the professor's going to get paid more and the GA is going to get paid less, but it's all going to look the same on the transcript at the end of the day. Is that the question you're asking? So, yeah, I mean, we need to look into it further to where these individuals are paid more money, but it's a conversation that we need to have. But we're not against giving them more money, the money that they deserve, but we need to look into that.
Any more questions for ticket B? Yes.
While we appreciate that you want to increase like kind of the money that goes towards going off campus and studying abroad, how do you plan to pay for that?
That's a good question. We've been working on this, myself and the other caucus chairs in ASG have been working on this for the past year, and this would be the only thing on our platform that is student funded, so it would only be $6 a year. We've talked to every dean on campus. We've been working closely with the Office of Study Abroad. It would go right through the Office of Study Abroad, so there's already administrators that would allocate those funds. We already have a scale of how they would be rewarded. We're really excited about it. Everyone that we've talked to is really excited about it as well. We think that $16 in your 4 years being paid for the minimum would be $1,500, and then it'd go up from there. It'd be $1,500, $2,500, or $3,500. So I think that in the grand scheme of things, paying $16 for $1,500 at the minimum is
housekeeping issues, we're going to return to ticket A for 10 minutes of questions. Is that okay? Perfect. Thank you. So, A, would you like to talk about how you would fulfill the role of president?
Yes, absolutely, I'd be glad to. So I guess fulfilling the role of president involves a lot of different things. So first off, it involves meeting with different administrators. Starting off with Dennis Stevens, you, as well as the Harvard Law, and then as well as Chancellor Steinmetz. I've got it written down right here as well, Vice Chancellor Dr. Robinson, Associate Vice Chancellor Laura Jacobs, and Vice Chancellor for Advancement Chris Wyrick. These are all people who, in some degree, at least not through Dana McFarland, is my role as assistant to the Vice President, I've worked with in some way, shape, or form. And so a lot of it would come down to working with administrators. ASG is often called a bureaucracy because there's so many steps that have to be done before something's implemented. So a lot of times, I guess students come into ASG and they think they're going to implement something kind of the next day. It's a great attitude to have, but there's just a lot of different things you have to jump through. So a lot of my job will be speaking on behalf of all 26,000 students here at the university. I'm doing everything I can to help represent their voice and be there for administrators, as well as just letting the entire organization kind of do what they say they want to do. There's always a lot of, even for example, right now, there's some controversial things going through ASG where the Senate may think they don't want to let Greek people run on tickets or anybody run on ticket per se. Some people think they can, and there's so many things that people have, and they're all justified in so many ways. So I think a lot of it is just discretion and hearing what the students want and making sure that can happen with administrators.
Questions for ticket A? Yeah, Greg?
Yeah, my question is for Connor, and that is, if you weren't running, what other ticket would you vote for and why?
Ray, I hate to tell you this, but I'm not comfortable answering that question. Love these guys. Love you though.
Other audience questions? Oh, yes, in the back in the blue.
Yeah. How would your administration differ from past administrations? And is there anything that past administrations have done poorly that you think we could improve upon?
Hi. I think one of the things, so that was kind of awkward. I think one way that we differ is we really tried with our initiatives. We wanted them to be things that are very concrete, very doable. I'm a very visual person. I'm very motivated by achievement, and we wanted to be able to come in and get some things done. And have 10 things that we really, really thought we could achieve really quickly. And so that's what we have done. And I know past administrations have done incredible jobs with that as well. We were just really passionate about that part of it, is making sure things we could get done. How was my statement on it?
Honestly, I've nothing to add. No.
So you mentioned you want to make ASG more proactive. What ways do you plan on making it more proactive?
Yeah, absolutely. So as I kind of got to mention last night a little bit about our cabinet, something right now that's going on is that cabinet positions, for example, correlate a lot with different RSOs. For example, the director of special events may correlate a lot with the student alumni board, who coordinates a bunch of events that go on campus. And the homecoming team underneath the vice president might correlate a lot, again, with the student alumni board. And then the director of Greek affairs, which I am this past year, correlates a lot with IFC, Pan Atlantic, NPHC, UPHC, whatever. But either way, I guess my point being that my role as Director of Greek Affairs doesn't have any stipulation that requires me to be in contact with that RSO and going to their actual meetings. I have to stay in contact with them as far as like, hey, here's what ASG is doing, not as far as, hey, what's Greek life doing? What can we learn more about what you're doing around campus? So that makes any sense. So I think every cabinet position should have a fifth thing that they have to do, and that's to see what the other RSOs are doing and kind of report back.
So a few questions back, you mentioned talking about the practice of running percent on tickets. And what is your position on that and why?
have a short thing about that, and I understand like where people are coming from with running on tickets. You're running with friends and you pull support from your different organizations. But I think it was Jace that said it was talking about it last night. That I think that really does limit the diversity that comes into ASG because it gives people that aren't involved in Greek organizations. It almost doesn't give them a fair shot as the people that automatically have this pool of 600 people supporting them. So I would say that my position on that is that I agree with making people run separately to increase diversity within ASG.
I would agree with that. I think you've done a couple
To add on to what Jason just said there, this is something that our whole team gets talked about very in-depth, along with everything, I guess, and it kind of has gone over, especially over the course of this past semester. Just want to throw out there that we definitely all agree with Jason on this stance. I know that it's kind of a controversial topic, as I mentioned earlier, within the Senate, just like some things are. That's why the Senate's there, is to represent the student's voice. I'd add on there that if that's what the Senate desired not to do, then so be it. But if it's something they decided to do, by no means will we ever veto that. So that's what they're there for, to represent the student's voice. So.
Back row.
You mentioned earlier the idea of inclusion and making sure every student feels included at the university. We have RSOs, we have Greek life, we have clubs, we have all of that. If a student still doesn't feel included with all of those things, what else would you exactly do to make them feel included?
I'm sorry, will you repeat it and speak
Yeah.
up a little bit?
You said you mentioned before the issue of inclusion at the university. And said like we have clubs, we have RSOs, we have Greek life, we have pretty much everything that I could think of to make students feel included. If they still don't, what else would you do to kind of reach out and make those students still feel included?
Okay, I think that the biggest thing that I can do personally, and this goes back to my answer earlier, is making people aware of what ASG does. And me personally, I'm in a business college, and those of you that are political science majors, ASG is pretty relevant, but I know Abby is a Fulbright in Fulbright college, and she addressed that she doesn't, like it's not really common within those schools outside of kind of the generic ones. And it just kind of goes back to making ASG relevant within all of the campus and where people know how to get involved. And there's 600 RSOs on campus, 400, excuse me, 400 RSOs on campus, and I believe that everybody in this room can find one thing out of those 400 RSOs that they can relate to and they can be a part of, as long as they're aware of it.
And I'll add to that we have a goal of really diversifying our committees under our administration, and we've set out to say that we're going to send ASU representatives to all four corners of this university, and we're not going to stop when we don't feel like every student at the university has the feeling of home that we do, and that's our overall mission, and we won't stop until it happens.
Yes, back row.
Hi, so what is your ticket's plan to make the University of Arkansas a top-tier research institution in both the near and far future?
I'm so glad you asked. That's something we've been over in many different ways, and I think we can kind of tag team that one. So I'll start off. I know one of our initiatives that we're going over is increasing study space in Mullen's library. So we've heard from students that they'd like to have more space to study within that. But one way we're going to do it is to take the books that are already there and move them to an alternate location. We've been in contact with the libraries, with the current president, Tanner Bone, talking about what's going on with that right now. And they've already started a little bit of the process. We want the students to get behind that and create more space. But what that does with the top 50 research institution is one factor that goes into that is the actual amount of hard copy books that you have on hand. So we're still able to capture that while giving us more study space to do that research to get us there. So it's kind of twofold helping out.
Another thing that I'll add is our senior walk restoration initiative, and we're planning on kind of working to get those senior walks closer to the front of Old Main improved and just restored so that they're not crumbly and messed up, because if those were your ancestors, you would definitely want that. And that's something that students will not pay for. It takes endowments from the Alumni Association, things that we've already been speaking with admin at the Alumni Association to make sure that we get that money in endowment. And the more endowments that you have from alumni, the better you have of a chance to be a top 50 research institution. And so every endowment from an alumni goes into your chances and goes into your progress as towards being a top 50 research institution. And so we definitely want to point out both of those to y'all.
I have one more thing, and another criteria is community involvement from the U of A. Within the community, obviously. And the Work It Off program, about what we have right now, one of the big goals of our administration is going to be finding permanent funding to make up for the revenue loss that comes from the students working off those tickets rather than paying them. So by continuing the Work It Off program and continuing to promote it, because it is a great deal, it gets students involved in campus and increases our community involvement and moves us one step closer to being a top-tier research institution.
See, how are you guys doing down here? Are you ready? Okay, we're going to have a 1-minute opening statement, 10 minutes of questions.
All right, so hi everyone. We're so excited that you all gave up your Thursday night to come listen to us talk and to ask us questions. We're so excited to answer any questions that you may have and tell us all about our ideas. My name is Courtney Brooks. I'm from Bentonville, Arkansas, and I'm running for ASG Vice President, along with Pierce Phillip, Jace Motley, and Hannah Andrews. We really were excited when we were coming up with our ticket and our ideas. We wanted to focus on two things. We wanted to focus on the voices of the students, making sure that every student's input is heard in our administration and that we are working towards benefiting every student here. And the second thing that we wanted to do is to make attainable goals. We have come up with a wide variety of platform ideas that we would love to share with you that we feel are going to make it better, safer, easier, and healthier to be a Razorback. So we're just so excited to be here tonight and to get to hear what you all have to say. So thank you.
Audience questions for Ticket C. Yes, Red Jacket.
My question is for Pierce Phillips. You have no experience in ASG. I just want to see how will you serve as ASG treasurer without any experience?
Well, that's a good question. Tough one, but a good one. So I'm the treasurer of 12 Republicans. So in my mind, treasurer translates to being another treasurer. Being a senator on ASG doesn't necessarily translate to an exact position, although it does help. I agree. But yeah, I've had experience as a treasurer. And from that, I feel like I've learned a lot, and I'm ready to take on this challenge. I went to an OFA meeting tonight. I learned a lot, and I realized that's something that's right up my alley. I felt like it would come easy to me. And yeah, I'm excited for the opportunity if I get it.
Yeah, and I actually want to add on to that because when I was putting the ticket together, I was trying to think of what are the most diverse perspectives that we could bring to this ticket to really represent the students. And I understand, I promise you I understand that Pierce was not an ASG or has not been an ASG. But I did work with him in the College Republicans. He did a phenomenal job. And also I just want to point out that the ASG treasurer's position has 2 full-time advisors at all times. There's a board of 9 voting members. It's really hard to mess it up. And I would like to point out as well that this year's treasurer had no previous OFA experience. So I think Pierce is highly qualified for the job. Thank you.
More questions for Ticket C? Yes, right.
Okay, so many tickets are wanting to increase diversity and have the perception that these minorities or other RSOs are trying to them diversify ASG. How or what do you plan on doing to show your support with other minority RSOs, unified student bodies, and diversity?
Hey guys, my name's Hannah. I'm going to take out a little wild goose chase for a second. Just imagine me, stick with me here too. You like someone, but you never hear it exactly from them. You want to go on a date, you hear around campus, oh, this one likes me, but you never hear from them, so that relationship never grows. You never see them face to face, so nothing ever results from it. That's exactly how I review our RSOs. If we don't have a face-to-face relationship, nothing's going to grow from it. I want to have a caucus for RSOs where each representative from an RSO comes, and a lot of tickets have said that's impossible. They said it can't be done, but a lot of people say a lot of things are impossible, and then they are done. So I really want to meet with every single RSO. I want to come and meet with every single one, hear their worries, hear what they want ASG to do for them. I also want to have them get more knowledge. They can find out about funds available to them. They can find out about ASG events and then go spread out to their RSOs and get the word out even more. Another thing I want to do is an international caucus for students, kind of like a Model UN almost type field, and have students that come in from China, Bolivia. We have so many international students here that aren't fairly represented in ASG. So I really want to give them a voice as well, and really have them come in a caucus and be represented and tell ASG exactly everything that they feel that
diversity while I can, because it's been something I really want to talk about. We kind of talk about how University of Arkansas needs to improve, but I think University of Arkansas has a lot of places where people feel at home. All across campus, you see RSOs with different minority groups and things like that, and they feel at home. But it's our job to bring those homes together, to where people from different backgrounds and ideas can come together and challenge themselves ideologically. College isn't supposed to be a safe place. It's supposed to be a place where you can grow in your knowledge and see and hear conflicting ideas.
Back row, question for ticket C.
Okay, hey everybody, my name is Moses. So I just have a question to Madam VP Lady. You say very well that you guys like want to make students have good goals and stuff. But if you look around the campus, we have students that they don't feel free with their professors, like talking with their problems like they fail in class, but they don't get time or they are never to go talk with their professors about their problems that are making them fail in class. But they can talk freely with other students like us or those in government. What ways or what things are you guys going to do to help these students to achieve their goals?
Absolutely, I think that's a great question. I'd like to go ahead and talk about that. I know that I even felt that way when I first got here. I felt like it was really strange to go to a professor's office hours, sit down with them and try to have an honest conversation about, something that I was struggling with. And it is a lot easier to just speak with your peers about those things because those are the people that you're most comfortable with. And one of my big platform initiatives, if I'm elected, is implementing a peer advising program. So I want to have student advisors, qualified students that serve as advisors because it's going to take away some of the pressure that is on our current advising program. And it's going to give students a peer who is working in a similar major as them, who has taken the same classes, and that will give them someone to go to as well who actually will have the power to maybe go back to that professor or speak with the administration about problems. Something that we've learned from speaking with people who are in charge of the advising program here is that the reason that these problems aren't being solved is because the advising people don't hear about the problems. And so that's why I think that this student advising program is really great, because it would give them another outlet to really hear what students are dealing with and to be able to solve some of those problems that we're having a lot.
Yeah, and I will piggyback off of that as well. We've been speaking to all different RSOs across the campus, and we had an opportunity to speak with some of the ladies in the engineering sorority. And basically, Bell Engineering already has a program that is a peer advisor program that serves as a model for the rest of the advising departments. So it's something that's very attainable. We can just take that model and apply it to other places. And I think that's something that's very achievable, and something that we focused on was making sure that we presented platform initiatives that we knew we could attain within our 1 year in office.
Yes,
yeah, as far as y'all's health initiative goes, how does that differ from just what Charles has on the website with like the calorie count and fat market and all that stuff?
Yeah, definitely. So I said it last night at the debate, and I know that some of you may or may not have been there, but I did. I lost 59 pounds this summer. It was crazy. I could not have done it if it wasn't for my fellow camp counselors and things like that. But what differs is the fact that what you just said, those calorie counts are online. And it's a very simple solution. Once again, an attainable platform goal. I Google it every time I go eat. I Google the calorie count, but it's annoying. And part of my initiatives and part of my platforms are making this campus a healthier and safer place. And so having those calorie counts on display for the students right there. And I'm not just talking about Chick-fil-A, and I'm not just talking about Burger King in the Union. I'm talking about everything rough, the quads, all of the dining halls. If you're going to eat a certain item of food, you need to know what it is you're putting in your body. And more so on my health initiative, one of the things that I touched on last night was that I want to create a nutritional and dietary advising program by partnering up with the College of Education and Health Professions. Essentially what this would do is expand on, the University of Arkansas already has 2 full-time registered dietitians, but that's 2 for 26,000 students. So this would be a program that students in the College of Education and Health Professions could get class credit for by pairing up with someone as a peer mentor. And essentially they would hold that person accountable. They would meet with them 2 or 3 times a week and they would show them this is the track you need to be on to reach your goals. It's something that I think this university desperately needs because living healthier should not be an obstacle for any student at the university or themselves. Thank you.
Yes, my question is for Hannah. You said you would like to personally meet with every single RSO. I know at the previous debate you mentioned how you have like 6 representatives from RSOs, and that you'd like to build a caucus with those RSOs. You previously mentioned number 60, but there's over 400. So how do you plan to personally meet every one of those RSOs before the end of your term? And also, how are you going to better utilize the already existing Council of International Leadership that does have all the interactions with meeting together?
There's about 360 RSOs, and the caucus idea, it would be more of so sitting where you're sitting today, every single member of the RSO comes and they see this space, they know they can come to me with all of their issues, all their problems, and I'm their liaison back to ASG. Right now, I think there's not a fair representation. I don't think every RSO is being represented. So I think really reaching out, obviously, like proacting committees, other members of ASG as well to go to RSOs, because you're right, realistically, one person cannot go to 360 people. That'd be one person a day for a year. That would be really difficult. So really proacting, making the committee, or having the committees really go and act on my behalf as well, and the other members of my administration would really be effective. And I think just giving each RSO, if someone in ASG, that they can have a face, and they know that they're wanted, they know that their voice can be heard for ASG is extremely important. And for the international students, I've spoken with a few international students, one being from Bolivia, and she had no idea that it existed. So I guess building on the current establishment of international students having a voice, but then also educating them and letting them know that they do have a voice here in the States. They can be very proactive at the University of Arkansas, just like another student from Arkansas, from the United States. Letting them know that we're here to serve them and we want to do what's best for them, and really just giving them the knowledge to empower them to show that they do have that voice and they can be heard.
Yeah, and one thing I'll just add to that as well is that I know that program is brand new this year, so there's definitely a lot of room to grow with that. There's a lot of changes that could be made for the better. I'm not saying it's a bad program now, we really haven't gotten to see the long-term effects of it. And I know that was something that you light up, and I think that's a phenomenal job. And so just having that program be so new, the international students still are not that involved.
Thank you, Ticket C. We know you're ready, so you have a 1-minute opening statement and 10 minutes of questions.
Hi, my name is Davis Trice. I'm a junior from Fayetteville, Arkansas. I'm a political science and advertising and public relations major. I'm running for student body president on a very qualified ticket. Emily Olander, Abby Wallstadt, and Scott Sims are a group of people who are very, very excited to serve the student body. And the last 2 nights we've served in debates where questions have been great, but we haven't really gotten to the meat of our platform to talk to you all about the initiatives that we're really excited to implement. Our passion for this place bleeds through each of these initiatives. So we're really excited to talk to you all about things like we talked earlier about college debt. It's a huge issue, and I was able to study it in DC, do some research on it, and figure out how we can help students be more educated on the issue. And that's something that ASG can work on with the financial aid department. Another thing is increasing outreach from ASG. The secretary, Abby, she'll be staffed with a group of people whose entire purpose is to reach out to. I'll get to it later.
Questions for Ticket D from the audience?
Moses.
Can we maybe have someone who hasn't asked a question yet? We have a new question. Okay. How about right there?
Yeah, what are the rest of your platforms you're about to talk about?
To touch on outreach, we want to staff Abby, the secretary, with a group of people whose entire purpose is to advance ASG. We want her to be able to reach every organization with the power of social media, with the power of meeting face-to-face with other groups. For example, like I touched on last night, we reached out to the Black Students Association and said, what are some things that we can help y'all with? And they said, well, thank you for reaching out to us. Nobody reaches out to us from HG. that's so simple. You know, reaching out to someone that's involved in a minority group is just too easy for us to not be doing. So we can use we can use the power of social media to reach people, because that's a 21st century tool that ASG can continue to use better. And another thing is working with the provost and working to increase value in internships. A lot of you have gotten a lot of valuable career experience through internships and jobs that you worked really hard on. And we've got to make sure that our students are prepared for their careers after they graduate. So there's a lot of value in internships. There's a lot of value in jobs, and we need to continue to increase that value on your college transfer. Thank you.
Can we have new questioners? It would be nice not to have. Okay, back row, red t-shirt. Yeah.
Scott, how do you feel that you're more qualified for this position than your counterparts?
Than my counterparts? I think I'm very qualified for this position. I think that even before coming to the University of Arkansas, I served as Boys State Governor, I served as President of Beta Club. I came to the university, I served as a lead hog. I moved students into their dorms. I served on the Maple South Senate. I served in the Resident Inter-Hall Congress. I've served as an ASG Senator. I've served as the Academic Chair of Kappa Sig. I've served as the Treasurer of the Finance Club and the Undergraduate Representative of the Finance Club. I feel like I've really been out there, I've really been meeting students, I've really been getting plugged in, and I think I can take that leadership, I can take that experience, I can take it to this position, and I really think I do a great job.
Diversity in ASG?
I'd love to say this one. Thank you for asking. Diversity is important. Diversity is lacking within ASG. And I would just like to point out that our campaign manager may be the only one that is not involved in Greek life. We've reached out to these groups, like Davis has mentioned. We've reached out to the Chinese student group. We reached out to a Hindi student group, a Caribbean student group. All of these groups exist. We don't even know about them. So we're not only going to start diversifying ASG in office, we've started it now. These groups need to know that we hear them, that we care about them, that their needs matter to us, because, you know, at the end of the day, they're students, we're students, we have the same needs, we have the same goals. The University of Arkansas was created for all students. It exists for all 26, maybe 27,000 of us, okay? We all have different needs. We're all here to get a degree. We're all here to have this place be our home. We're here to have our Razorback experience. And so we're going to lace up, we're going to put our shoes on, we're going to go to these RSOs, we're going to invite these RSOs to us. We're going to let them know that we care, because for so long, these groups have been pushed to the side. They don't think that they matter to us anymore, but they do, because their needs are important. You know? I'm so passionate about this. It matters. These people matter. And so I think, honestly, the fact that we've already started this diversity, we've already reached out to other people, it's as simple as sending an email. It's as simple as saying, can we please come talk to you? Can we hear what you need from us? Because we want to meet those needs. And I'm confident that our group will do that, to meet the needs of all diverse groups over and across this campus.
Ticket D, Ray, you've asked the question before. I'm looking for new questioners. There, back row. Second back row, yes.
So obviously you're very passionate about diversity. Do you think it's important to maybe get some of these people from these minority RSOs into ASG? Because we have here 16 ASG members who are all Greek and all white. How can you get them actually working on all of this?
I want to speak on that. You'd like to say something first as well?
A lot of people are really afraid to run for ASG. They think, of course, because it's 100% or 94% Greek life and 100% white, that they won't be represented, that they're afraid they're not going to be voted, they're not in a Greek house, and that's really pathetic. Like, that's really sad that that has to be like a fear for some people. So one of the big things I thought of during the secretary is if we brought these people in to ASG, maybe have 2 meetings a semester, like we have our Tuesday night Senate meetings. We brought
And I'll say, to add on that, I think a lot of times Senate is very emphasized, exec is very emphasized because it is an elected position. These are elected positions. And so you're dealing with the student body voting on these people. With our initiative to have weekly updates, to have weekly videos, to get out there to the students and say, look, this is how you get involved. This is the applications that are open right now. These aren't elected positions. If you have the resume, if you have the ability, if you apply, you can get here. You can get to that position. And if we can let people know that, then things will change. And that's what we plan to do. Thank you.
Being on an executive position, you are in constant communication with GSC. How do you plan on communicating with GSC, and how important is it?
Thank you. I've been involved with ASG since freshman year, so I've seen the transition from GSC being a part of the Senate body to having their own entity, and it's well deserved. They work really hard to represent their body, and it's something that they've seen at other campuses, and they've modeled it after those and made sure that it was going to be an effective body here. But what we've seen in the past is there's been quite some tension between ASG and GSC. That 27,000 students, they work closely with graduate students. That's what ASG needs to do as well. And so I've already met with a couple of graduate students, and I'm excited to look at making sure that they're more a part of what ASG does. And it's already going to happen through these next two initiatives as long as they pass. Making the law school a part of GSC, and making sure that GSC has more of a say in what goes on in the executive branch. And so I'm looking at whatever's happening, or what's happening now, which will take effect next year. And I'm excited to work with GSC this next year.
Yes, that's right.
My question goes to this. I think sometimes whenever you want to vote, you speak so well. But when you quantify it, when you go to the people's shoes, it's different from the way you think. International students play a very active role in promoting the university worldwide. But for years, off and on, they try to be part of the university, but it proves very difficult. Not because they don't want to be part, but one person cannot run with 1,000. What are the practical procedures that you want to put in place? Because now you want to vote, so you stick with them to get it out. But sometimes when it's over, you forget. What are the practical procedures so that any of the group that wins can put it into place to bring international students into the house of ASG, so that as they fight for the voice of the student, they can also promote the school outside. Well, and recently there's a program that is running on bringing more international students. They pay a lot of money. They send the school both up and on, making it more popular. However, what will be your practical experience?
Was that question for me? Yes?
I think they're both.
Okay, for both of us? Okay, well, I'll go ahead and start. I think you made some really good points to that question, and thank you for it. I think the first thing that ASG needs to do to bring in the international students is to let them know how they can get involved and to inform them. There are a lot of things that happen within ASG, a lot of great things, and a lot of people don't know about them. I said this last night, a lot of ASG events are attended by ASG members, and so we need to have a more powerful voice in letting people know what ASG is doing and how they can get involved, because ASG's most powerful tool is the student. So we're here for those international students. We want them to know what we're doing. So we need to go to the international students. We need to invite them to come to us, as I said earlier. We just need to get that communication going so they can see what ASG is doing, and they already see it, but they can see how they can get involved. They can see, okay, how many applications are out? I can apply. You know, Senate, we're having a Senate election. I can apply. I can be on a committee. There are ways for me to get involved, but we just need to let them know that they can and just make it more transparent. Scott touched on this, you know, we need to talk more about when those elections are, when those applications are, there are plenty of ways for other people to get involved.
And I'll add on that as well. I was fortunate enough to get to study abroad. And one of the guys I studied abroad with, his name is John Morales, and he is from Panama, and he is very involved, very intelligent guy. I think one way we could, we're not international students, so we don't know. We're not in your shoes. We don't understand these things. I would love to reach out to John and say, John, how did you do it? How did you go about this? How can we speak to international students and make sure that they can take the path that you have followed? Because we don't understand, but he understands, and I would reach out to him and find out how he did it and how we can make sure others can do it as well.
anyone, if you've already asked a question, you can ask again. And you can direct your question to any ticket. Yes?
This was specifically for natural choice. So, Jace, Pierce, I'm president of the UA Young Democrats. You guys having your resident college Republicans. In your term, we are going to have a presidential election, and I think ASG, everybody here would agree that we should encourage people to vote. How are you going to do this without being partisan?
Definitely. I mean, yeah, so it is on my resume that I was state chairman of the College Republicans and Pierce was treasurer of the College Republicans. We are conservative individuals, but I can promise you, I serve on ASG exec this year. Being nonpartisan on these issues is something that I have to do every day. But what ASG should do, and what you should be happy to know, is that I'm very passionate about the political process. So we need to work harder on promoting our voter drives. That's something that we can do this year, especially since it is an election year. And I know that also we've been working towards getting a polling station, and I've been working with you on that. And so we met with the Department of, we met with Facilities Management, and they're open for this idea. The problem is it's just whether or not we're going to have 2 weeks of early voting or 1 day of voting on the general election. And so I think that my passion for politics is actually the reason I'll be able to be so nonpartisan, because I do care about this stuff, and I have to be nonpartisan.
We actually have 2 Republicans on our ticket and 2 Democrats, not to make this about politics, just to let you know. We are fairly represented, but being a Democrat, people often are educated on views that I have, and that I'm not necessarily, things that you see on the media, that's not necessarily how I feel as a whole. There are certain things I agree with, certain things I don't. So I think education is the key in elections, and having everyone be more accepting of each other. On this ticket, I mean, there are things that I agree with Jace. Some of my best friends are the most conservative people I've ever met, and I'm a moderate Democrat, and we don't agree, but we accept each other, and we know that you feel this way and I feel this way, and it's okay to have differences. And I think educating in that and educating on the real stances for both parties in this election season is definitely key to have a bipartisan atmosphere.
I might be the most moderate treasurer for College Republicans ever. I honestly, if I made my own party, it'd be the concessionist. I think there's great things from both sides. So to be honest with you, that's my political stances. I did it because I am passionate about politics and getting involved. I'm going to Washington, D.C. this summer to work with Congressman Womack. It's just because I love politics, I love the process. I like helping people. And it's the same thing with ASG as it is in the larger version of the United States.
Yes.
Yes, I'll start on parking. So currently I'm the director of parking and transit within the ASG cabinet. And I've met with Mr. Gary Smith multiple times about this. And so was the question how we're going to fund it, or what's our plan to go about it?
Yeah, how to fund it.
Yes, well, our plan is we just like to move. There's freshman parking. There was a study years ago where the class in the Walton College came out and put sticky notes on every car that was parked in the pit. And 4 months later, they came back and there were still 44 stickers on those cars that hadn't moved in 4 months. So that lot really is just kind of a storage lot, and this is just an example. But we'd like to move those cars somewhere else, and we'd like to make that lot a commuter parking lot where people make it easy for students coming in off campus can park there and make it accessible to all classes instead of having to park out and then take transit buses in. And then I actually have a meeting with Gary Smith tomorrow where we've already gotten a head start on how we're going to start planning this and how we're going to go about it.
To talk about the free legal consultation, notice we called it free on our initiative for a reason. There's kind of 2 ways you can go about legal consultation, and a lot of other schools do it. One, and the one that we're going to start implementing as soon as we get into office, is to go and talk to the law school, talk to the dean of the law school, who's already announced that he's interested in getting this started. they'd be creating a course where law students that are already in the law school would have a class that students on campus could go to. They'd sit down with those students and they review your case and they come back to you with consultation. Yes, you could go see a lawyer locally, and yes, they could give you consultation for free to an extent. This is unbiased consultation from the University of Arkansas where they're getting experience and you're getting to know it as well. The other version that a lot of people are familiar with is paying with the student fee, getting an attorney within Northwest Arkansas to quit their job and come work for the university as a student's attorney. That's something that for sure we'd be interested in looking into, but not without going into the student poll and seeing students' feedback on that.
Thank you. To the Davis, I think I just met you yesterday. And the way you talk to me professionally, I think you're going to make a great president. And another thing, how are you going to make sure that your team stay on top of every step and getting things done?
We wouldn't set up a platform we didn't plan on doing it. It's as simple as that. And I think Tanner has set a great example this year. They wanted to establish the sexual assault day. They wanted to, or awareness group. They wanted to pass the creed. A multitude of other things, and it came down to that. And that just comes down to holding ourselves accountable. We've got a great team of people around us that have helped us form these ideas for a platform, and we plan on just simply holding ourselves accountable and getting it done. Now, one issue that a lot of people run into is ASG does a lot. Maybe people don't know about it all, but ASG does a lot. So you have to pick and choose, or not necessarily pick and choose, but you have to build on what we're already doing and add a few things. So if everything doesn't get done, we have to make sure that we're doing the thing that is going to affect the campus the best. And so the whole summer this summer will be us planning that. Which of the things are attainable that we are actually going to be able to accomplish, and which of those things are going to affect the most students in the best way. Thanks, Moses.
Yes, your question?
Hi, discussing it beef with Black Shepherd. My question is for Savannah. How do you plan on reaching the students other than just social media, and then being intentional expanding the reach of ASG as far as it is right now?
I feel like personal relationships are a big thing. And I feel like personally reaching out to people goes further than social media, so creating relationships. And I feel like just communicating with them and seeing like what they need and relaying it back to my team is a good way to do that rather than just social media. Thank you.
My question is to all the presidential candidates. How do you describe your running mate to vice president candidate in 3 words?
Qualified, driven, ready.
Kind, passionate. The natural choice.
Definitely the best.
That was our lightning round. Yes.
So mine specifically for the secretary, I know all your tickets talk about diversity and increasing student reach face-to-face through going to all these RSOs, etc. A lot of ASG is holding these events and also participating in involvement fairs. So my question is, how do you actively plan to empower and motivate your internal members as an organization that's comprised of 300 members to continuously not only give their time to involvement fairs and attending these events, but to also give extra time to personally reach out to these RSOs?
Am I starting it? So it's so hard. Okay. And I think it goes back to just I feel like it's been said almost way too much about just like diversifying ASG and like who we bring in and making sure that it's representative of like the entire student body. Like if we have a senate of 100 or 94% Greek and 100% white, they're going to be less motivated to go back to. They're going to be less motivated to expand outside of their normal Greek chapters and their comfort zones. Like we're very efficient at having Greek people go back to their chapters and promoting ASG and getting their pledge classes and above pledge classes, whatever, involved within ASG. But it goes back to promoting ASG as a whole, making sure that our Senate is representative of the entire student body so that they can go back to the people that they're comfortable with, their friends, their dorms, their RSOs individually, and promote ASG and get the entire campus involved. I hope that answers the question.
So my question was, you guys talk about increasing diversity within your organization, but also personally going face to face with these RSOs. Well, a lot of what ASG does is holding all of these events and participating in all these enrollment fairs. And as an organization of 300, how do you continuously empower your members to not only participate and attend these events that happen so many times during the year, but also give extra time to meeting face to face with these RSOs in order to increase this diversity that you all talk about?
First of all, you've done an awesome job. And I think Mira deserves a lot of applause. Sexual assault awareness, I think that's awesome. But I really, like I said before, personal relationships, meeting with all of them, saying like, here's what we're doing, like here's what we want to do for these, and we just want to reach out to everyone. And I think just reaching out kind of gives them just communicating is a huge thing for me, and being the liaison and motivating people and encouraging them to be the best they can be and spread the word. And I don't know, social media and getting it out there.
That's a great question. I think ASG is a commitment, and I want to be part of this commitment. I want to be committed to educating each RSO, each member of the student body. I want students to be educated more than they currently are. Students don't know that what ASG is. They don't know how to get involved, and they don't know that they have a voice. And that's the biggest problem facing us. And I think in empowering RSOs and empowering liaisons to go forward, to spread the word of ASG, to spread the word about events, I think you need to empower them and give them the confidence and knowledge that they do matter and they do have a vote. They are a part of the student body. It's just not Greek life. Well, I'm a I am a proud member of AOPI, but I do realize that that does not embody this entire, doesn't embody all these students. I can't speak for every single student because I haven't had a lot of experiences that others have. So I think educating each other, talking about our different backgrounds, our different experiences in college in general would really help. And I think that would empower people to go out in RSOs, people to go out and spread the word about events and student government as a whole, because then they will have the knowledge, then they'll feel a part of it. And instead of seeing it as just one student group, one body of people that they can control everything, they'll see that they do have a voice and that they do matter and that they do need to go out and spread the word about student government. And I think that would really promote the University of Arkansas and make us so much of a better school in the end.
I don't think social media and word of mouth is enough, actually. You know, you can scroll through your Instagram timeline and see these pictures and be like, oh, there's an event, but we need to make these events personable to certain groups. And you can go to those groups and have them also. It's not just ASG's job to promote events. It's everybody.
to start with ticket D. What is the biggest issue regarding campus safety that the University of Arkansas faces, and how will your administration work to address and resolve that issue?
Thank you. Well, campus safety might be the biggest concern in the media across the nation. And I think that campus safety as a whole is the biggest problem. And so students and their parents' concern is making sure that nothing like what happened at what has happened every year at a lot of different schools happens here. But I think what that's going to require is bringing everyone to the table to talk. And that's going to include the administration. That's going to include the chancellor. That's going to include the student leaders, and not just the student leaders in ASG, but the student leaders at every organization. And then obviously UAP. Chief Gahagans is someone who's super willing to work with the students and listen to everyone's voice. And so, like with other issues, campus safety is a place where we can all come together, the people that represent each group, and talk about the issue in ways that students in areas that students don't feel safe. But it's sitting at a table and discussing the issues first.
Address the issue of campus safety.
Okay, so I feel like there are many issues when it comes to campus safety that we are facing. I know that we have issues with our crosswalks, with them not being illuminated. That's something that we're trying to change. And we're very fortunate so far that we could have some terrible situation arise at the moment. But something that I think resonates with a lot of us is sexual assault. And that's why I'm here in Oregon worked so hard this year to promote that, to make that a big conversation. And I think the reason that it continues to be a problem on our campus and on other campuses across the state is that it's a difficult conversation to have. And it scares me as a woman to state that 1 in 4 women are sexually assaulted by the time they finish their university career, and 1 in 3 women will be sexually assaulted throughout their lifetime. And my voice is almost shaking to say that because it's such a hard thing to talk about. And that's why I feel like we need to be promoting these conversations about campus safety to empower all of us to feel safe when we are here. And something that comes with that is just bringing new people to the conversation. I kind of touched on this last night, but we have a lot of student active groups that are going out to speak to RSOs, but we need those RSOs to reciprocate. We need students to be involved in the conversation because it affects every single one of us, whether we realize it or not. And
Yeah, I just wanted to add, based on my original point of educating, and we need to educate each other more on this topic. I think 76% of people that have been sexually assaulted are not even aware that what has been done to them qualifies them that they have been sexually assaulted. So that there's so many people around this campus that have been sexually assaulted and aren't even aware of it. They don't even know that they can get help, or they think it's their fault. So educating each other, educating everyone, eliminating the stigma, everything under that is something that we need to do. We need to take action as a university to make our university a safer place.
I'll read the question again. What is the biggest issue regarding campus security the University of Arkansas faces? And how will your administration work to address and resolve that issue?
We can start with small things. You know, in Senate, I'm on the infrastructure committee. We know that Old Man's dark when you walk across it at night. We know that there's crosswalks that need better lighting. It just needs students' voices. It needs legislation to be passed to say this is what we're concerned about, and we would like funding to be able to make these things happen. Then there's bigger things that we want to tackle in the administration. We're happy that Sexual Assault Awareness Week happened this past year, and it needs to be talked about more. It needs to be talked about more statewide, but it's going to start with small things like our university. We can work together to make it more widely talked about across the state as a whole. We also want to create Mental Health Awareness Week. Depression runs in my family, and I've seen it firsthand. It's not something to be taken lightly. Neither is sexual assault. So a week isn't going to fix anything, but it can celebrate the progress that we've made throughout the entire year. We need to work on warmth and trust so that people that are victims can come forward. We need to start a university perspective so that we can tell them, this is what the police are here to do. This is the signs of sexual assault. This is who you go to for help. This is the sign of mental health if you want to go here, if you have this problem, this is who can help you. I think it starts really freshman year, letting people know what's out there, how to address problems of safety so that we can see the students' concerns and we know how to address them. Thank you.
I'll read it again for you. What is the biggest issue regarding campus security that the University of Arkansas faces, and how will your administration work to address and resolve that issue?
Could you please raise your hand in the crowd? If right off the top of your head with me saying this, you could tell me what CAPS stands for. 4-letter word CAPS. Okay, we got 1, 2, you're an administrator. 3, okay, you're a student body president. Okay, on the back of your ID card, every single one of you have a 4-letter word, CAPS. It stands for Counseling and Psychological Services. Mental health is an epidemic in this entire country, everywhere. At SSC Exchange, other events ASG has gone to, we see other schools hitting this huge within their student government to promote it to everybody across campus. It's not a coincidence. It's not a fad. There's a very specific reason people are promoting this. Not everything ASG does has to be about creating a new event or implementing a new process. We are here to connect the students and let everybody know this place is a home for everyone and how to feel the most at home and what this school is here to do for you and what your student fees go towards, and it's to pay for things like this. Again, every single one of us knows somebody who's dealt with anxiety, somebody who's dealt with serious depression. Again, it's an epidemic across this entire country. It's a mental health issue within your brain, and at any given second, anybody can be dealing with something, some shape or form with this. And the university already has something implemented, set up for every single one of you in this room. To just call a number on the back of your ID card. And I think one of ASG's biggest things we have to do this year is to make sure every single one of you in this room can raise your hand without a doubt and know where you